The Kennedy Space Center is located near Titusville, Florida. It occupies land in a large barrier island called Merritt Island. On Saturday, January 27, 2024, we visited the Kennedy Space Center. We're at the Kennedy Space Center, and it's Saturday the 27th of January. We don't know if we're going to be able to take this tour or not. Depends on time constraints. But just in case we are, this is the frame shot to precede a movie, perhaps, of the Kennedy Space Center.
This is a little bit like Disneyland. Yeah.
The first item on our $80 a person tour ticket was a bus ride out to the Apollo Saturn V Center.
It's our insatiable desire to explore beyond our home planet in our never-ending quest to expand our knowledge of the universe.
On the way, we passed the Vehicle Assembly Building, with perhaps the highest ceiling of any room in the world. If we thought we were going to get a look inside, we were dreaming. All our contacts with NASA were heavily curated, edited, and scripted. This is, however, the actual control room that launched Saturn V. I'm amazed that this monster seemed to have been launched by 100 geeks pushing buttons and flipping toggle switches. All the hardware on display is real, just obsolete. NASA had 3 of these giant Saturn rockets to spare. Lying down as it is here, it's longer than a football field. Standing up, it'd be 36 stories high. I can't say how heavy it is. Let's just say it's heavy. Here we see the second stage detached for display. The second stage boosts the astronauts out of Earth orbit and sends them on a trajectory to the moon. And the third stage manages the lunar orbit, carries a payload, including the lunar lander and the astronauts. You'll notice the third section comes in 2 parts. It's broken here. The bottom half is the engine, the upper half carries cargo. And here's the cargo bay in the top half of the third stage. What did it carry? The moon lander. 2 astronauts not only lived in here, they rode it up to the command module orbiting above. The astronauts in the first landing on the moon spent 2.5 hours on the moon's surface. The astronauts on the last of 6 missions to the moon spent 20 hours on the surface. And this little nose cone atop the Saturn V housed the astronauts and also brought them to a splashdown. Here's the actual module, heat scarred by its fiery entry into the atmosphere. The Space Center arranges to shuttle visitors back to the gate whenever they're ready, and with an eye to completing our drive to Singer Island, we boarded the bus. But before we left, we had one more display to see here at the Space Center, an exhibit of the Space Shuttle Atlantis. This isn't the Atlantis, this is the launch vehicle, and you'll notice it's much different from the Saturn V. It's lifted by 2 rockets straddling a fuel tank. The shuttle rides piggyback. Here is the shuttle Atlantis. You'll notice it looks like an airplane, and it glides to the Earth. It's displayed with its cargo bay doors open, showing its capacity to carry freight into space. In this exhibit, the Atlantis is shown at the point of deploying the Hubble Space Telescope with the aid of a mechanical arm manufactured in Canada. Canada gave the arm to NASA in return for recognition for having built it. Joanne has it in mind to take control of this mock-up flight deck. Where are you going, Chief?
I'm going to space.
Going into space?
Going into space temporarily.
I thought you didn't want to go into space. Because you made it an exception.
Look at all of this.
The sailor's got to know the ropes. An astronaut has to know the toggle switches. Before we go, I should take note of the astounding graphics that are presented everywhere. This one's at the entrance gate and nobody pays it any attention, but it's quite fantastic. Today's visitors are jaded by this kind of a display. Oh, well, it's 12:16 and it's high time we got on the road. We've had a very productive morning. We've seen so much. We can't digest any more. There's too many figures, too many statistics, too many heroic stories, and too many gadgets. Too many toggle switches.